If you click the blue button, does the blue light come on?
No.
We got no power to the left two microphones.
Some of those don't have power because of feedback issues we've been having because it's not connected. So we've been having feedback issues and I had to unplug some the last meeting. It's on my follow-up list.
Okay,
So I
you just said
expect them to be talking, so
You should still be able to hear just fine.
they just have to yell.
They
a
just
little
need to
loud.
speak a little louder than normal.
You guys understand that?
All right. Okay. Call to order. Board of Zoning Appeals for December 9th, 2024. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the November 25th, 2024 meeting. Motion by Mr. Milborn, second by Mr. Moll. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Do we have any special requests or continuances?
None.
Seeing none, we'll move on to findings of fact. BZA 2024-045, a development standards variance from petitioner Ron Courtney on behalf of Midwest Signs for property at 838 North US 31.
Chairman, in consideration of the statutory criteria, I move that we adopt the written findings of fact as presented, incorporating the evidence submitted into the record as our final decision and final action for variance petition number BZA 2024-045.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Moll. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. BZA 2024-046, a development standards variance from petitioners Timothy and Renee Trotter for property at 1077 Honey Creek Road.
Mr. Chairman, in consideration of statutory criteria, I move that we adopt written findings of fact as presented, incorporating the evidence submitted into the record as our final decision and final action for variance petition number BZA 2024-046.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Moll. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to old business, we have BZA 2024-041, a development standards variance for the southern terminus of Airport Parkway and Jackson Boulevard. Petitioners Eric Prime on behalf of Taylor Morrison requesting relief from many sections of Unified Development Units, which I will not cover all 13 of them. A couple have been withdrawn, 14 of them, 3 been withdrawn. We should present, and I will need to recuse myself.
There's no presenting, it's just,
If I may, we've already had the public hearing for this, which you recuse yourself for. So you'll still need to recuse yourself since we still have the vote yet to happen. But at this time, the public hearing portion is done. They can ask questions, but it is not, they have not voted to reopen the public hearing. Okay.
That I will step out and just let me know.
Yep, we'll give you a moment to step out, and then I'll just make a short announcement about the update on the report that you received. So on the report that you received, originally there was just one variance that they had withdrawn. There's now 2 other variances that the petitioner stated that they would be withdrawn. This is because they went to Common Council, and Common Council's commitment does not allow them to use final, so they removed 2 variances that were related to that. Since the staff report was already accepted into the record, we did not want to change the text of the staff report. So we redlined the staff report in red with the cross through so that the language was still there. But just so you would know that it was the petitioners withdraw these. I do have one other comment to make about the petition of the lot size reduction that they were going to take from down to 4,200 square feet. They would be the minimum they need to go down to is 4,700 square feet. I know that the public hearing is closed, But staff would desire that if that variance is approved to reduce the lot size, that we're making the minimal deviation requested. So we would not want to go down to the 4,200. We would want to be at that new, slightly higher number of 4,700 square feet, so that it's a minimal deviation. But with that, you have the variances before you for a vote, and the public hearing has been closed, but like I said, you can still ask questions if you need clarification.
Excuse me. With your comments on the square footage for the lot size, does that change the ballot from 4,200 to 4,700 for our decision? So our decision for or against would be at the 4,700 level.
So, yeah, they requested a reduction, and since it has already been accepted, we didn't change the ballots, but yes, the ballot would maybe have a condition that it's only going to go to the 4,700 and not to 4,200. But what they're requesting is for a reduction to the lot size.
So we can have a condition saying no less than 4,700.
I believe so, unless
That's what I'm trying to-
legal.
To find out if that's something, because we're essentially negotiating a change.
Yes, and if, maybe not a negotiation, but you're limiting it. If you think that it meets the criteria at that number, but at the other number, they maybe were requesting above what was required for the variance, that would be your determination.
Okay. All right, so we have concluded the hearing, and now it's up to the board if we've got any questions. And Mr. Prime, if you want to be at the podium in case we have questions so that you can respond to those questions, because that's where we stopped off at before.
Sure.
So we'll start with Mr. Mull. I mean, you've got 11 different
Yeah,
areas to look at if you have any questions.
just. I know we talked about, as far as like traffic, you said the traffic study was gonna happen after or moving forward, is that?
It's been requested, I think, but it's not
Requested. And then, as far as, I know like you're asking for like the minimum lot sizes to be smaller. With the sizes being smaller, how does that affect like fire hydrants and other, like mailboxes for postmen and everything else, like in trash, I guess? Like if it reduces the lot size down, those cars parking in front of it. Cause I guess I'm asking is like, or what I'm thinking is, if you have those fire hydrants there too, that cuts into parking spots and, I don't know, is there a plan for having all that figured out already, or is it still being determined?
Well, that'll be done at the plating process when we go through technical review. So all of those engineering questions get answered at that point. This is more of still at the concept plan stage. But I can tell you that at least with regard to that request number 2, it only applies to the Cornerstone and Edge series. So, here, hang on, just for refresher. I'll, see if I can jump up.
And the Cornerstone is the one with the driveway that goes back.
Yes, hang on. Actually, it's right there. If you look at those are Cornerstone.
And how wide
They alternate, so you have a recessed garage on one and a forward garage on another.
How wide are the driveways that recess back? All right, let me actually back up a second. The driveways that go back, how far are they how close are they to the house, the next house over?
Well, that's where we had that one odd, that's request number. It's the one where it's the 9 feet and 1 foot instead of 5 and 5 or 10. It's still the same distance between, but at certain points here, I can show you.
Was that the request number 4?
Yeah, so hang on 1 second. Let me jump over to that Cornerstone series. Here we go. So this this gives you an idea of how those houses kind of pair together. And then that's the streetscape. So you can see that they alternate one out, one in. And then if you want to see kind of a bird's eye view, here's how they fit together. So to answer your question, here's the dimensions. If you look on the left side, that shows you the 10 feet. There's always at least 10 feet between the homes. Obviously, in the area where the driveway recesses, there's substantially more than 10 feet in that courtyard.
Is that 1 foot?
It's 10 and 1.
10 and 1?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering, because on the variance request, it just says 8 and 1, doesn't actually give like links of dimensions, like.
Yeah, that was, so part of the reason, if you think about there are now 11 total variance requests, but there are 4 distinct neighborhoods here. So if we were building all kind of traditional single-family homes with a front-facing garage, there probably would have been 3 or 4 requests. So it's really, that's the nature of, because we're bringing in rear load, single-family detached, and rear load townhomes, along with these cornerstone products and the regular kind of typical single-family homes, that was the nature of needing these multiple variances, because there was a lot of products that just hadn't been built in Greenwood before and weren't really contemplated in your UDO.
So how wide is that left or right driveway that goes back further? I'm just curious. Do you have an idea?
It shows a 10-foot dimension between the buildings there.
It's a
That's-
10-foot minimum, but I think that portion is 12, but it's 2 cars wide at the garage. So there's 2 parking spots in the driveway by the garage, plus the 2-car garage.
I was just curious. I didn't know if somebody opens their door and you hit that.
It's about 12 foot wide. The driveway would be, plus you have a little bit of green on each side of the drive.
Sorry, I'm going through it again just to make sure I have.
Sure, yeah, it's been a while since we talked, so.
Yeah. And then remind me what the waiver requirement for no blank exterior wall is for again? What is that?
That one I think had to do with find that one. Again, that one only applies to certain of these.
This is the townhome country.
Yeah, number 6. That was part of the non-monotony, that you can't have a blank wall, but that would be the townhomes, cornerstone and edge will have some, but they're going to be hidden because of the way those homes are designed. The edge, here, let me jump over there. Again, it's easier to hear the edge. So these are all rear load garages. So you see, this is what you see from the street. You don't see a garage door. And then additional front views, and then this gives you the rear view of that same type of house and a side view of that same type of house. And I think there were just some potential blank walls, I guess, right on the garage. Is that what we were talking about there? Yeah, so you can see on the garage side, there's kind of a blank area that may not be allowed in the ordinance. We just wanted to make sure that we could, I mean, the entire side of the house isn't blank, right?
Yeah,
There's
okay, that's what I was.
windows, but yeah.
Okay.
The way those homes are designed, they have some areas like that.
I think that's all I have for right now. Sure, I'll think of something.
Mr. Miller?
I don't think
Mr. King?
I don't have
While Mr. Mullin contemplates what else he might have. I'm still trying to figure out this Edge series is a rear load garage issue, so there's gonna be an alleyway in behind.
Correct. Let me,
Because I was trying to figure out
yeah, I can
on
kind
the
of show you
slope,
how that would
on the
work.
street
Here.
plan, how much the
Yeah, this
driveway is, I mean, alleyway is going to be there.
this is how those Edge series homes will be laid out. But at the top is a regular street, the vehicular street. Then you have the fronts of the homes that I showed you a minute ago, where you just see the doors and windows. And then in behind is where you actually come into your garage via that alley that's in between these houses. So then the bottom is another street, which again just faces the fronts. All the garages are hidden behind you won't see them from the street, though they're accessible from that alley.
And these are intended to be single-family homes.
Correct, they are single family detached, yes.
Very near. Did you,
Got one more
there you go.
question. How far back was on the, what's the series called? The Ed, no wait. Apologies. Cornerstone series. How far, the house that's the closest, how far was the driveway? Is that to the sidewalk? You know?
I think it's the standard setback, but then there was a setback.
Is that part of this too, or is that a different variance?
The setback standard is 20 feet, but if you look at the one on the left up there, most of those houses actually have the garage set back a little bit further than the front of the house. There's either a primary building forward or a porch forward, so the garage probably sits between 20 and 25 feet back.
On the one on the right or left of that?
The left house,
This one right here?
the left house, yeah. The other one obviously is much further back than that.
Just checking. Because there's the pictures that on the exhibit D, it just shows them really close to the sidewalk. I was just curious how that impacts like
Good.
for parking.
The pictures that you're looking at
Yeah.
could have been in a community where we had 10-foot front yards.
Okay.
So here, we're doing 20-foot front yards.
I think that's all I have.
Okay. Anything else by the panel, the board? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to enter the evidence into the record.
Madam Chairman, I move that we admit all evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and your administrators, and all other exhibits presented be they oral, written for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mr. Knoll, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion carries 4-0. Now entertain motion on each of the variance requests. Variance number 1, to reduce the minimum lot width from 24 feet to 20 feet for the townhomes.
I move that we approve this request with the two conditions in the staff report that are: one, the final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations and depicted in Exhibit D. 2, variances are conditional upon actually strike that rezone has gone through. So only one condition in the staff report that I just read.
Okay. A motion by Mr. King. Second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise a hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 3-1. All right. Variance number 2, to reduce the minimum lot size from 5,400 square feet to 4,200 square feet for the Cornerstone and Edge series.
I move that we approve this request with 1, the condition that the lot size be reduced to no less than 4,700 square feet for the Cornerstone and Edge series, and that the final plans shall substantially conform site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion carried. All those opposed, raise a hand. Motion carries 3-1. Request number 3, to reduce the minimum setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the Simplicity and Edge series.
I move that we approve this with the condition number 1 in the staff report, the final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise a hand. Is that a hand or not a hand? Okay. All those opposed? Motion carries 3-1.
Give me a second.
Yeah, catch up here. Okay, request number 4. For side yard setback, to reduce the minimum setback from 8 feet to 1 for the Cornerstone series.
I move that we approve this request with the condition in number 3, which was final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D. And that 2, a minimum of 10 feet be between the buildings.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion carries 4-0. All right, variance number 5, to allow single-family homes to have the same front setback for the townhomes and the Cornerstone and the Edge series.
I move that we approve this request with the condition the final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D.
Okay, I've got a question. The ballot has a different identification for request number 5.
Yeah,
Completely different. It's the same as request number 6.
no, actually it's different.
Number 6 down below,
But the non-monotony
Oh,
D
okay,
and non-monotony B.
you're talking about non-monotony in
So,
the petition and not in the variance request.
so they're both non-monotony. One is B and one is D. Do the ballots
But the
specify?
staff report is to allow single family homes to have the same front setback.
That's what the variance request is.
Yeah,
That's
so
not the
the
same.
front setback, we have a front setback requirement. And then we also have in our non-monotony standards a requirement that every house must vary the front setback.
So the staff report is in error.
No, that's not what I said. We have a non-monotony standard that talks about setbacks varying. That's different from our setback for the zone. And maybe if I could look at the staff report or the ballot clip just to make sure.
Not the staff report.
Yes, I have the staff report in front of me as well. So request number 5 is single family residential building design standards, non-monotony B, to allow the single family homes to have the same front setback. So the townhomes and corner edge, they would have the same setback as their neighbors. They wouldn't vary.
Yeah, that part I understand, but I'm trying to figure out the non-monotony thing that goes
Are
along.
you saying
with
that the
this.
wording is different?
Yes,
So she's saying.
That wording on the ballot is way different than the staff.
definitely different. That's why we're trying to rectify what's what.
So what page of the staff report are you on?
I'm at 7.
I'm on page 7. the
looking at
bottom
the-
of page 7.
I'm looking at the
variance
front,
five.
front page.
Well, I'm looking at what the staff report shows.
So on page,
7.
on
Check
page
the bottom.
4 it is right, I'll check page 7.
Just want to make sure we're saying the right things.
Variance number 5, to allow single family homes to have the same front setback for townhomes and corner edge series.
Doesn't mention a word
Yeah.
about non-monogamy.
So this word is. This number 5. This one's different. This thing.
Structures may not have the same, exact same,
It doesn't say that.
but it's the same citation.
Okay, so he just expanded on the language within the ordinance, so it's exact.
Okay,
So that- it comports, it's just, language, number 5, page 7 is just expounded on. Okay.
okay, so take a motion on variance petition number 5.
Move that we approve this request with the condition the final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise a hand. All those opposed, raise a hand. Motion carries 3-1. Okay, request number 6.
I move that we approve this request with the same condition in request number 5, and also the condition that an additional 20 square feet of windows per floor of otherwise blank walls.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but
Okay, we'll take, motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise a hand. All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
So.
Getting ready for 7. We can check.
while we're catching up, I know the staff report says there's a specific condition for variance number 7, but I don't see one listed. Nor, yeah. 7 and 8.
So,
You said there's a condition, but we don't
yeah, I
see
see
any.
the specific condition on 4, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9, I see them, but 7 and 8, I don't.
Forgive me, this is a report. So variances 7, 8, and 9 all deal with garage doors, and it could have been laid out better in the staff report. We're actually considering making a table in the future to make it easier to understand. I believe that the conditions under variance number 9 that both relate to the garage. There are 2 conditions under variance.
So your
number 9.
intention was for that to be applied to 6 and 7?
Yes,
Okay,
for
move
all
on.
the garage ones
Okay.
to have those 2 applied to.
All right. See what I'm saying.
Sorry about the confusion on that.
We need to add those 2. We're on number 7.
Okay, so I move that we approve this request. First with the condition that was listed in number 5, that references site plans. And exhibit C and D. Then also that condition that garage doors in the Simplicity series shall have a minimum of 5% transparency or other architectural style. 2, a minimum of 50% of the garage door space in the townhomes shall have a minimum of 5% transparency or other architectural style.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise their hand. Motion carries 4-0. Gotta catch up.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, request number 8. Entertain motion.
Move that we approve this with the same 3 conditions in request 7.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion carries 4-0. Request number 10 has been withdrawn, so we will take that one. Request 11, single family residential.
We didn't do 9.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed 9. Sorry, number 9.
Move that we approve the request with the same 3 conditions as 7 and 8.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milburn. All of those in favor, raise a hand. All opposed. Motion carries 3-1. Now, number 10 has been withdrawn. So the next one up will be number 11.
Move that we approve this request with the 1 condition. Final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations and depicted in Exhibit D.
Staff had recommended a condition, but I don't see it.
11? No, there's staff items.
Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake, Okay, go ahead. Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion carries 4-0. Variance request number 12, withdrawn. Give us a moment to catch up. And we have to walk through. Okay, request number 13.
Move that we approve this request with the 1 condition, the staff report the final plans shall substantially conform to the site plan depicted in Exhibit C and building elevations depicted in Exhibit D.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion carries 4-0. request number 14. It's been withdrawn. We have finished this petition. I will entertain a motion issuing findings of fact.
Considered a statutory criteria, I move that we direct the corporation's counsel to authorize draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented in variance petition number BZA 2024-041. Said findings will incorporate the staff report and the evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
Motion by Mr. Mull, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor raise a hand. Motion carries 4-0. Mr. Prime, you will be approved to move forward with working with the staff. We'll finalize at our next meeting. And somebody want to let Mr. Ken know he can return? I think we should go.
They're grabbing, grabbing it. Mr. Prime, can you let Mr. Walker know that he can return? Thank you.
Mr. Knudsen?
I think you said Walker.
He did.
Oh,
He did. Knudsen. Yes, we did.
Okay.
Mr. Knudsen has returned.
We are ready for new business.
Full business
All
from the
business
floor.
from the floor, rather. Any old business from the floor? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. First up is BCA 2024-047. It says use variance for 822 North State Road 135. The petitioner is Justin Hochstetler. On behalf of Crossroad Engineers, requesting approval of a use variance in order to operate a storage contractor use in a commercial medium zoning district. Is everything in order?
Yep, notices and files are all in order and in our file.
So that the comprehensive plan and the municipal code.
Anyone wishing to present or speak for or against this, please stand and be sworn in by our secretary.
Testimony is directed to give the truth to the best of your knowledge. Thanks.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Justin Hochstetler, with CrossFit Engineers, located at 115 North 17th Avenue, Beech Grove, Indiana. Here on behalf of the developer, Carter Property Services LLC. Jamie Carter's in the audience today. Here for BZA 2024-47, the experience at the property located at, or properties located at 822 North State Road 135. The current owner is James Beeson.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and there is a sheet up there, Mr. Hochstetler, if you would fill your name and address out, so we get it right, I'll be spelling right for the record when you have a moment. With that, tell us why you're here.
Okay, so a little background on the properties first. Here's a vicinity map of the two lots are highlighted in yellow and blue. Again, located at 822 North State Road 135, which is about a half mile south of County Line Road. On the west side of the road, right behind the O'Reillys. And then there's the Sable Ridge subdivision to the south and the west, and then the retail center to the north. So here's a little zoomed in location map. Again, the two properties in question are highlighted in yellow. I'm going to refer to the larger one as the western lot, and then the smaller, I guess, skinny lot as the finger lot, just for, I guess, ease of talking about it. So there are two existing lots. The western lot is currently occupied by a residential building, which to my knowledge is unoccupied at the moment. And then the finger lot serves just as access to that residential lot. That smaller finger lot was created when the O'Reillys was replatted. Originally, that was also a residential lot that was replatted into what is there for the O'Reillys, and then that it's a 25-foot wide lot that goes to the residential lot to the west. There's an access easement over the commercial drive entrance for the O'Reillys for the purposes of access to the residents in the back. And if this project is to move forward, planning would require that both the finger lot and the western lot would be, I guess, replatted at one. So zoning map should also be in your staff report. The lot with the star is the western lot. It's commercial medium, surrounded to the north and east by commercial medium. And then the subdivision to the west and south is residential. Here's a street view from State Road 135. North is to your right. So you can see the commercial drive to the O'Reillys, and then it kind of goes down to the back towards the western lot. The residential building you can kind of see behind the dumpster enclosure in the center of the picture. So the O'Reillys, and then for reference, the proposed building will actually not be visible from this vantage point. It will be directly behind the O'Reillys, which the conceptual site plan kind of shows. So the proposed building is currently 60 by 60. It sits about 360 feet to the west of the State Road 135 right away. It is offset 35 feet from the western property line. That's for the buffer requirement. The buffer requirement for a commercial lot adjacent to residential is 40 feet, but with the inclusion of a fence, which was also proposed, it can be reduced to 30 feet. That 5 extra feet just kind of allows for the fence to be installed, and also the building face cannot count as the fence itself. The southern property line does not have the required buffer. The finger lot obviously is 25 foot wide. There would not be enough room there for the buffer, and then with the drive coming into the parking lot, that buffer would not be able to be met either, which would require a waiver, a landscaping waiver during the site plan. The northeast corner of the building at the most narrow point is about 16.5 feet from the diagonal property line, which is directly adjacent to a ditch, an existing ditch, and then between the property line and the O'Reilly's building, there's a dry detention pond that serves that site only. So to the north of the building, currently show a drive connecting to the northern retail center drive. That would be to connect so there will be 2 overhead doors on the building, one on the north side, one on the south side. That would allow for vehicles to pull in from the north and go through the south, or vice versa from the south to the north. That would also require an access easement from that northern property. Currently, we show 15 parking spaces, but that would probably be the max. That might be reduced depending on door location, what have you. And then detention would be provided underground on the parking lot. So the building use will primarily be for similar to, or for vehicles. So the vehicles will be pulled into the garage, the building into the garage for staging, for outfitting of those vehicles for the plumbing purposes. Then there will also be an office space in that in the building, probably on the southeast corner of the building. And then there will be a small, I guess, component for storage. Approximately 10% of gross floor space will be used for storage of appurtenances related to plumbing or the outfitting of the service vehicles. So again, the focus of the building will be to complement the existing Carter's My Plumber business, which is just to the north of the O'Reilly's building, the darker building just to the northeast of the subject lot. And that is a non-conforming use, an existing non-conforming use due to it being a special trade contractor use, and that used to be for the old UDO wasn't allowable use in the commercial zone, which is why it's not, but now it's not conforming because there's no definition there's no special trade contractor listed in the use table anymore. So the requested variance is from UDO section 10-2-11. The master list of uses by zone and district does not permit storage contractor within the commercial medium zone. So that is what through our discussion planning, what they have deemed this use to be. In our opinion, we think that the use of the building primarily will be more closely defined as vehicular care services, non-major, as defined in the UDO. It'll have that office component as well, and then it'll also have that 10% storage, which is, I guess, primarily what we're here for the variance. So the criteria for decision. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So again, the storage component of the building would be contained within the facility, not visible to the neighboring properties. The storage would serve for the plumbing / HVAC materials as part of the daily operations of the office building and the outfitting of the service vehicles. The developer is willing to commit to 10% of the building space being dedicated to storage if required. Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the properties included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. So the building itself will meet all building design standards as defined in the UDO. The function of the building, as I mentioned, would be primarily the vehicular care services and the office space. It are permitted uses within the commercial medium zoning. There's also no evidence that the existing non-conforming use of the property to the north that this would be complementary to has affected the adjacent property values. The use itself would also be less intensive than some other allowable uses, including the adjacent auto parts store to the east. Any storage, again, will be internal. No service vehicles will be left in the parking lot overnight, very few if any will be left in the parking lot. Most of them are take-home vehicles, so there would be no large amounts of service vehicles left there overnight in the parking lot. Three, the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. Again, the primary use for vehicular care services and the office are allowable uses within the UDO. The lot size itself and location, primarily, since it doesn't have frontage along 135, I guess makes it more conducive to the desired use that we're proposing, with its proximity to the office that it will be complementing to the north, with the access from that northern property and then through the access easements to State Road 135. strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unusual and necessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. That just kind of regurgitating what I've already said, the vehicular care services, non-major, and the office uses are allowable. Obviously, the storage component will still be there. I thought I had a picture of those, but that must be the other.
Of the story,
Of the story.
I think you flipped by it earlier, maybe above that, because I went.
Oh, sorry, okay, yeah, so this is kind of what we'd anticipate, the storage shelves on the left, and I have some examples of what it's appurtenances or items that, like plumbing items that would be stored, and then also just the items that they would be using to outfit the service vehicles themselves. So going back to the strict application of the zoning ordinance, the permitted uses, I guess the use itself of just is very similar to, I guess, what the auto parts store would be like as far as the storage is concerned. But instead of customers coming in to buy items off the shelf, I guess the contractor, the business is just using those items to install in the vehicles or to be placed in the service vehicles to be brought to the site of their that they'll be servicing. And again, this is going to be complementing to the non-conforming use to the north, and it will be less intensive than most commercial uses that would be allowed in this area. But the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan lists this area as commercial, and currently it's a residence. So it's actually bringing it more into conformance with the comprehensive plan. Since most of the, I guess, the majority of the building will be used by allowable uses, or as defined by allowable uses. Questions? That's all.
We'll get to questions from the board after we close the public hearing. We do have a couple more minutes for presentation. If there's anything else you'd like to add
To this one in particular?
to this one in particular, yeah.
No, I guess I just want to emphasize that I guess the use itself, even though it's not, I guess, clearly defined as a use in the UDO, it fits the area well, and it's not very intensive, so it wouldn't be it wouldn't be cumbersome to the existing residential neighborhood to the east and south, or sorry, the west and the south.
Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak against this? Okay, seeing none, then I will turn it over to staff to their comments.
I don't have much to add aside from what's in the staff report. Like the staff report mentioned, we really didn't have a floor plan or anything to verify or show that only 10% of the building was used for contractor storage. Originally, it came to us as contractor storage. Throughout the process, it is turned into an office with a garage door that is on either side for cars to go through, I don't see many offices that have garage doors leading into them and exiting through the building. It is currently zoned commercial medium. Contractor storage is allowed in the industrial medium and the industrial large zone. So this would be really in either an expansion of the existing non-conforming use, although they're keeping the parcels separate, or it would just be a non-conforming use that they are requesting to be placed in a commercial medium zone. It is located next to residential. So a lot of times our zoning is put in place where you might have uses that conflict next to one another. Really, the original reason for zoning was to reduce nuisances. So a lot of times you'd rather have a step down from commercial to residential, not necessarily industrial next to residential. But staff did recommend denial, and I'm here for any questions.
Mr. Hostetler, you have 5 minutes to respond to that if you would like. Sir.
To speak to Gabe's comment about when we originally introduced it, I think that was the original intent, but I think that was kind of maybe a miscommunication and maybe misunderstanding on our part. That I guess the major, or sorry, it's mostly for vehicular care with the office component and obviously the storage. Again, we are willing to commit to the 10% max storage, or sorry, with the developer is willing to commit to that storage requirement. I guess the contract, the store, like the ordinance intent, which Gabe kind of alluded to, I think like this would not be of any nuisance. I would think to the neighbors, because everything would be indoor. Again, would be very similar to an auto shop. Again, just in terms of outfitting the vehicles. I think pictures also kind of spoke to like what the actual intensity of the storage would be. Not that it would be like industrial in nature at all. And then again, compared to some of the, I guess, allowable uses in commercial medium, a gas station with a convenience store is an allowable use. And I guess I would, in my opinion, this would be a better use than having that directly next to a neighborhood. Again, the intensity, it would be very low in terms of vehicles traveling through nuisances. And again, it would mostly be limited to just contractor vehicles coming in and out. And I guess the anticipated like staging of the vehicles within the building would be weeks, so that they would be serviced, because it's not just a one-day thing to turn the vehicle around in there. So that's okay.
So just to clarify, vehicular care does in the CM zone allow vehicular care minor. That's more of like a quick service oil change. Vehicular care major, which would be reconditioning engines, it would be any body work, it would include repairs on trailers, framework, welding, major painting. Those would be a special exception in the commercial medium zone. They would need to come to you and meet certain criteria. I do agree that a gas station back there would be more intrusive, but for gas stations, we do have other things that do keep them away from residential uses. They need to be, I believe it's 400 feet away from residential. So there are things for other uses that may conflict with residential, such as a gas station that was used as an example, that would prevent them from going there without a variance. We had a gas station that came before you on County Line Road that had a distance away from residential, even though it was in the commercial medium zone that you may remember.
Okay.
And I guess would like to clarify that there would be no engine repair, so like it would fall within that vehicular care minor versus.
Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing then and open it up. Go ahead and stay there, Mr. Hostetler, because we will have questions now from the board. I will actually start just because I would like some clarification. You started to go there. I'm still not 100% certain I understand what's going to happen in this building. So how many vehicles are the vehicles being repaired with these parts, or these are parts that the vehicles are going to take out to a customer to do plumbing service? I guess I'm not clear on what's happening here.
Jamie, speak to that.
Yeah, I'm Jamie Carter.
And you've been sworn in, correct? Yes. Name and address for the record.
Jamie Carter, 886-461-135, Greenwood.
Okay, Mr. Carter, go ahead.
Yeah, my wife and I and our son have owned and operated the business there for almost 40 years. This is basically just an extension of what we already do. We're a service business, plumbing service business. The buildings we have right now that we work out of, we operate out of, it handles all of our dispatching, all of our truck restocking, everything but what we want to use this building for, and it's primarily to, we just have no room to set up our trucks. We just room to set them up, put in the shelving, put in the trays, and just get them set up.
So these would be like new vehicles you have purchased and need to get them
Our
fitted
existing
for.
vehicles too would need to go in there too. From time to time, we have to put them in there to take counts, inventory counts. Things break down on the inside of the trucks.
Gotcha.
Oil changes.
So repairing the shelving structure of the vehicle, not engine work, not like what I would consider automobile work, but more the structure, the interior storage structure of the van.
No, we have outside mechanics to do that. We check our trucks too. We want no part in doing something like that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mold, questions?
No.
Mr. Milborn? No. Mr. King?
I mean, I guess I'm confused why this is an issue with its interior storage. I mean, it sounds like it's plumbing parts are really what's stored in there, and when a truck needs them.
And they're next door, we would be storing them in this building, but we wanted to allocate 10% for the materials we use to set up the trucks, more shelving materials, the bins that you saw in here, the tray bins, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a strict application.
Mr. Peters?
I have no questions.
Yeah, I don't believe I have any further questions either. I appreciate the clarification, so, thank you. All right, I will take a motion to admit all the evidence into the record.
Chairman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, testimony of petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators, and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Moll. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. I'll take a motion on the petition itself, which is the request of use variance in order to develop and operate a storage contractor use.
I move that we approve this request with no conditions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mrs. Peters. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. The motion that direct the Corporation Council to draft written findings of fact.
Having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the Corporation's Council Office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented in variance petition or BZA 2024-047. Said findings specifically incorporate the staff report and evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
Motion by Mr. Moll, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Okay, Mr. Hoxeller, you will remain. We'll move on to BZA 2024-048, which is for the same property. Two sections of the EDO that you're requesting relief from. One is to reduce the front yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet, and the other is to allow construction special trade contractor use within 150 feet of State Road 135. Again, you have 20 minutes to present. I would ask that you don't repeat stuff we heard the first time around and be specific to these specific requests.
I guess just a quick question. Do I need to go through, can I go through both of them and then you guys will?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm trying to look to where your answers similar to the statutory criteria. It looks like they were different.
They're slightly different.
We will need to go through both of those.
So concerning the front yard setback reduction,
I am so sorry. Thank you. Sorry. Are all the notices and everything in order?
Everything's in order and in our file.
Yes, with a comprehensive plan.
municipal code.
Now go ahead.
All right, so again, concerning the front yard setback reduction from 20 to 10 feet, this is mainly a function of I guess, the shape of the lot and the location of the lot. Because since this is a landlocked lot, there technically is no frontage, to the right of way. However, the eastern property line has been deemed the front yard. So the front yard setback requirement for this particular, I guess, use, or sorry, for the commercial medium is 20 feet. So the 150 feet there is the distance between the O'Reillys and the proposed building. The request to get it down to 10 feet mainly stems from the buffer requirement on the west side of the property. As I mentioned earlier, the requirement is 40 feet, but we're reducing it to 30 feet with the fence. But with the building face not being able to count as the fence with 5 more feet, which puts it at 16 and a half feet, as we have currently shown. The reason for the 10 foot is just to add, I guess, a little bit more of some lenience, some wiggle room for like final layout of the site, depending on where doors and all that fall. So the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare to the community. Since the front yard setback is not along the street frontage and is adjacent to another commercial medium zone property, this would normally be considered a side yard setback, I guess, for most applications, which would require a 20-foot cumulative on each side of the property, which is met with 35 on the west side and 16 and a half on the east side. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner because the buffer yard requirements on the western side adjacent to the residential properties are met. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property. Subject properties atypical shape and location compared to similarly zoned properties. The reduction is to allow for the full buffer on the west side. I already mentioned that the building face cannot count as that. So that is the reason for it being shifted so far to the east versus trying to meet the setback on the east side, and then also the buffer on the west side. Next variance is.
Yeah, one second. Also, the structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. I just want to get that on the record. Okay, so for variance 2, to allow a construction special trade contractor's use within 150 feet of State Road 135.
Yeah, so this is more of a function of the combining of the two lots. The existing lot where the building is going to be located is 280 feet away from State Road 135. The reason it comes within 150 feet, or will become within 150 feet of State Road 135, is because of what I mentioned for the finger lot, which is only 100 foot away from State Road 135. So the approval will not be injurious to the public health because the building is tucked. It is tucked behind the O'Reillys. It's really not going to be visible from the right of way. The proposed building also meets all the building design standards. Similarly, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected because the buffer yard to the west is met, although we will not be able to meet the one on the south side. That's due to I guess the shape of the finger lot itself. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties. Again, that's due to really a technicality due to the combining of the two lots, which is of State Road 135 right away, and it's not part of the
Yep, again, not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. Anything else you'd like to add?
So
Again, anyone wishing to speak against either of these? Seeing none, staff?
You had a hand up.
Oh, I did, sorry, sir. Were you been sworn in, sir?
No.
Okay, I'll need to get you sworn in.
I don't know what the order is, I'm just a
You have to
neighbor
be
on
sworn
the
in.
south.
One second, sir. Let me get you sworn in by our secretary.
Do you swear on penalties of perjury? Do you swear on penalties of perjury? That the
Absolutely.
testimony you got to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now, name and address for the record.
Okay, I just wanted an observation
Sir,
about the.
Sir,
low-
hang on one second. I need your name and address for the
I'm
record,
sorry.
please.
Dennis Ferguson, 3016 Sable Ridge Lane.
Perfect. Mr. Ferguson, go ahead.
Okay, just an observation about the lowness of that property. When it rains real hard, it floods. I mean, the water literally comes in three different directions, across the side and behind it, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you're making accommodations. You're gonna alleviate that problem, I hope, because when it does rain hard, there's a lot of water that comes down on that property and the ditches just don't handle it. And then, of course, in the alley, I'm sure you're gonna blacktop that and everything. It's gonna be raised up, right?
Yeah, I can speak to, for this board, that is not under our jurisdiction, but there's planning and staff that will work, and there will be a site review and everything that will factor all that in, including the drainage and what is
Thank you,
required in meeting the ordinance. So, thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Okay, Mr. Hoxteller, anything else to add before I close the hearing? Okay, close the public hearing. Mr. Mull?
I'm good.
Mr. Milborn? Mr. King?
No, I'm good.
Mrs. Peters?
I'm good.
I am good as well, so I will take a motion to admit all the evidence into the record.
Chairman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance Comprehensive Plan, testimony of petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators, and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mrs. Peters, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Take a motion on request number 1 to reduce the front yard setback east facade from 20 feet to 10 feet.
I move that we approve the request with no conditions.
Motion by Mr. King to approve with no conditions, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Request number 2 to allow construction special trade contractors use within 150 feet of State Road 135.
Move that we approve this request with no conditions.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Take a motion to direct the corporation's counsel to draft written findings of fact.
Consider the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the corporation's counsel office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented in variance petition number BZA 2024-048. Said findings specifically incorporate the staff report and evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding the petition.
Motion by Mr. Mull, second by Mr. King. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. You're good to go. We'll take final action next week when you can proceed working with staff. All right, next up is BZA 2024-051. This is the development standards variance for 521 Northgate Drive. The petitioner is Kristen Spencer, requesting relief from one section, I guess, of the Unified Development Ordinance. It looks like one was incorrectly listed. So it would be to reduce the side yard setback from 10 feet to 0 feet. I guess Mr. Nelson is clarifying that's the only thing we're hearing.
Yes, and if we have time for staff comments for this petition, Alyssa can clarify.
Okay, perfect. All right, all those wishing to speak towards this docket, please stand and be sworn in by our secretary.
Do you swear on penalties of perjury, testimony true to the best of your knowledge? Thank you.
And name and address for the record.
My name is Kristen Spencer. I live at 521 Northgate Drive, in Indiana.
Spencer, I will also ask you to fill out that form when you get a chance, but in the meantime, tell us why you're here, what you're trying to do.
I am here because I had a carport built and I did not know that I had to get permits, so I was in violation. And looking back on it through this whole process, I have to say that I didn't, it's been a learning experience. It's been very traumatic. After, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Ken and his staff and Kevin and Stevie. I am just an individual. I don't know all these engineering rules and things like that, but I have to say that even though this has been horrific and stressful, they have made it as good as they could for me, and I'd like to thank them for that. Regardless of how this goes, they deserve credit for trying to help me. They also indicated that I needed to do the state variance, and I did process that, and Ken helped me fill that out, so I would get it right the first time, because it's pretty important to get it right the first time. So I have tried to, I've done that part as he directed me to, as far as the fire marshal and the Department of Homeland Security. So I guess I need to I need to ask that, I'm trying to get relief from the following section, which would be the residential medium lot zone. So I just need to give you section 10-14, where I would like to have the side yard setback from 10 to 0 feet.
Okay. Do you have your answers to, and I think we have a picture, right?
I do. I don't have anything online. I know they have that in my staff report.
I can read them, and then if you could just agree that that's what your answers were, we'll get those on the record. And yeah, we do have pictures.
There are a couple things I'd like to add.
Okay, and that's perfectly fine as well. So number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because, and your written response was there will be no impact on the community. The neighbor next to the driveway fully supports the carport.
Sure.
Okay. Then number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because, and your written response was the property next door is the neighbor's side yard, and he is in agreement of the carport on the property line. And then number three, the strict application of the terms of zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because your written response was the 10-foot property line restriction reduces the function of the carport. Without the carport, snow and ice will accumulate on the cars, impacting safety in the winter months. Okay, and then number four is that the structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard area navigation. I know you said there were other things you would like to add.
I kind of didn't know. I think that my answers could have been a little more clear, not knowing exactly what was expected. And after reading the staff report, I would like to clarify a few things.
Sure.
Which helped me see the bigger picture of why these things are important. I really didn't know about the fire, and I didn't think about certain things. To me, it was on my property. It was just a lean-to carport. But I did want to say, he said that it would have a negative aesthetic impact. And I'm a lifelong resident of Greenwood. I've lived in that house since I was 2 years old. I try to take pride in the appearance of my home. I work on it. I spend money on driveways and all that. It's important to me. And I just am telling you that to let you know kind of how my thought process is. Gives you a little insight to the way I think. The reality is in Northern Park, it is an older neighborhood. It goes up and down, let's face it. Property values go up, some people take care of the property, some don't. I guess it's not my place to judge why they don't, and I don't know their circumstances. It could be health, finances, but I try to take better care of mine. So it's important for me to be aesthetically, in that process when I built the carport, it's going to not have just, right now the picture you have in your file is just the lumber. It all stopped, of course, once I was in violation, of course, and it's going to be completely finished. There'll be no exposed wood. The underside will be filled in. That's just the kind of person I am. Doesn't matter, I look down on another person's cardboard because I choose not to finish it that way. I do agree that it needs guttering on it. I do not want that just running over my neighbor's side yard. I will be guttering the side and, of course, putting a downspout and needing big in-ground drainage. That being said, I just want to make a note that what is not aesthetically pleasing in my neighborhood are the vinyl tent sheds that go up. You can drive up and down my street, and I'm not judging. but they're not aesthetically pleasing by any means, and I don't think they help the character of my neighborhood. They're on the property line, their water's running over on their neighbors, and nothing's said about that. And it's not about code enforcement or he said, she said. I'm the one who made the mistake, and I'm fully owning that. I just think that as far as aesthetics goes, this carport is not wimpy by any means. It's very structurally sound, it's large, and I want it to be clean and neat. That's just part of what I'm trying to reach for. The only other thing, I know we're kind of trying to get this off. Oh, I did say I'd add the gutters. I do understand the fire. Ken explained that very well to me in the initial, when he first came out, why it needs to be farther away from mine. I also wanted to explain that my driveway is 16 feet from the house to the edge of my drive. The first 3 feet of it has a meter, a gas meter in it. So that automatically reduces it to 13. And then whatever the offset is, if I have to move them in, I hope I don't have to because the offer here, or they suggested maybe a 1 foot setback. But if I do, I can proceed with that because I want this done for safety. I fell off a ladder a couple of years ago. I had a traumatic knee injury. The first advice of them was do not fall. And he also suggested, he has a good point, that I have a garage. Why don't I use it? Well, my driveway, I also have a boat, which I treated myself to after I fell. And it was and I can't get my car in and out of my garage with the boat sitting there. So either the boat sits out or the boat sits in the garage. But for me, functionally, I have to have the car on this side of the boat. I can't get to it because our houses are very small in that neighborhood. The driveway, the garage is not that wide. So I kind of felt like I appreciated his comments, so I could come here and try to clarify things a little more clearly. So I hope I did that.
Anyone else speaking to this? If not, staff?
So staff is providing an unfavorable recommendation for this variance. The zero setback may negatively impact adjacent properties, including the direct rainwater runoff. And then staff also fails to see how the accumulation of snow and ice on vehicles is unique to this property. So we're recommending denial, and if it is approved, the following condition, we would like that to be met. A minimum of 1 foot setback to allow for maintenance and rainwater runoff.
Okay. Any final comments?
Yeah, I mean, I understand why it would have to be moved back, and if it does, I would do whatever you guys tell me to do. I've been compliant and everything they've asked me to do, and that's not my goal. I made a mistake, and I will sit on that blister, and I will hopefully get it right next time. So.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Appreciate comments.
One thing just to clarify, the state variance is separate from you. That is with building and fire codes.
Okay.
You stay up there.
Yeah, we may have questions for you, so please stay. Sorry. Mr. Mole?
I said the only question I had, well, you answered about the gutter and the finishing because I was like, saw that picture, but is your driveway like right on the edge of the property line?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there's no way you could actually move it back, move it in a foot anyway, so
Well,
as long as you're guttering it and
The driveway, from my understanding, concrete is not prohibited. It's the covering of the concrete that's prohibited.
covering what they're.
They can have the driveway on the line, but they can't have the covering on the line without a variance.
So the carport would sit inside the edge of the concrete.
okay,
Does that make sense to you?
yeah,
The driveway is okay.
so, okay,
They would have to bring it a foot in to allow for the runoff of the water is the recommendation.
but you're gonna put a gutter on it anyway, so they
I
have a drain, so I got no questions.
Okay. Mr. Milborn?
No.
Mr. King? Mrs. Peters?
I'm good.
Yeah, you answered my question about the finish and gutters and drainage was my concern with the neighbor. I know the neighbor is acceptable to this. Doesn't necessarily mean that the next neighbor may or may not be, and that would be my other concern. Just trying to think if I other. Yeah. Okay, I don't think I have anything else, so I'll take a motion to admit all the evidence in the record.
Chairman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Take a motion on the docket to reduce the size of the setback from 10 feet to 0 feet.
I move that we approve this request with no conditions.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Milborn. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. I will take a motion to direct corporation's council draft written findings of facts.
Having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the corporation's counsel's office to direct written findings of fact regarding the decision on the variance request presented in variance petition number VZA 2024-051. Said findings specifically incorporate the staff report and the evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
Motion by Mr. Mull, second by Mr. King. All those in favor raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. You are good to proceed as well. Working with staff, we will take final action in January because we do not have another meeting.
Correct, no meetings, you have to.
January 13th.
See you next year.
Any announcements?
No announcements from staff.
Swihart? No. All right. Motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Next year.